Today we are going to start basic Python basic series. Once the Python basic series is finished, then we'll start the advanced series. Once the advanced series is finished, then we'll start machine learning, deep learning, and different topic of artificial intelligence, NLP, all the stuffs within the Python basic series, we'll cover quite a lot of stuffs. Which including the fundamental stuff, different data types, Python, control structures, the most important, the programming best practices and tips. I'll share my tips and everything. And one of the very, very important, which is how to solve complex problem within practical example with a project. I believe in practical examples. So if we implement a project, then we can put all the stuff together, and we can see something is working, which will be more enjoyable. And I believe once the fundamental is we cover, and if we implement a project, then we can feel sense, then we did something. And then we'll cover the control flow of the programs, the step by step how to implement the loops, all those kind of loops and if else statements, and all these Boolean functions, operations and return statement within the programs. And obviously we will cover how to write different type of functions and how to reuse those functions within the program. How to create package within the programs, once the big project, there's so many package, so we learn all this stuff, and obviously how to install the different package from the standard library and from the third party as well, from external libraries as well, and how to write and read the files and stuff, and then finally we'll implement the project, so Bondura, sometimes I'll talk with a different language as well, which is most the Bengali, and so if I talk with a different language, my apology, and hope you will enjoy the series, and Asha Kori, I hope you will subscribe to my channels, and you guys will give me tips and encourage me and give me feedback, how to improve. And obviously I don't know everything, so if you guys give me feedbacks and if you correct me somewhere, if I made a mistake, I appreciate this, which will encourage me to create more contents and more videos, so it will be long journey, so I hope you will stick with this together, and we'll learn, and I'll share my knowledge, whatever I have learned, my school, college and university and in my work experience, so okay, let's stop. Let's jump to the programs and we'll go step by step. Hopefully you will all stick together. Thank you so much. See you next video. Bye bye. I'm just going to talk about a small bit of history of the Python, though I'm not fan of the history, but we all agree that we are a software developer or software engineering student, we don't worry about the history. While I'm saying this, I don't want to offend anyone, but this is the truth, I'm just saying, that the Python was created in late 1980s by Guido van Rossum, and if you really want to go in the Python development career related jobs, you can find any field. Either you go to the web development or networking side, or these days a buzzword, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, data science, so all this stuff, you will find Python. Especially in artificial intelligence, the Python is a must. And even the hardware side and microcontrollers, and many more field, the DevOps, different writing a different script and string, you need a Python, there's a two version of the Python 2 and Python 3, but in this series, what I will do, we'll talk about the Python 3, like, I mean, in 2020s, even the last year, the Python 2, there was the end of life, like, they are not going to release, like, new release anymore. Want to know more about the Python, like, I mean, you can search and go to the Google or any search engines and write the history of the Python. You'll find plenty of stuff, like, So our main focus on the about the Python language, like, and how we can create the projects and how we can do with this language, what we can do, like, So that's it pretty much, like, I mean, if you want to know more about the Pythons, go to Google or any search engines and write history of the Python and find plenty of stuff, like, And today, before we jump to writing a code, like, we just need to talk about some the convention, like, every programming language, they have some convention, like, how to write a code. And if you follow and stick with these, like, it will be good for you. And you can find all the conventions, like, Python's, like, on the pep8.org the website, like, you'll find all this coding standards and everything. So basically, we'll talk about small bit, but you'll find the more details in this website, like, if you go to that website, like, So in Python, like, indentation is a very, very important. If you made a mistake in indentation, like, your program won't run. This is the simple, straightforward. And the second thing, the tabs or space, like, I mean, in Python 3 doesn't allow, like, to mixing both of them. You have to stick with one, either tabs or space, like, But majority, like, we prefer like a space, like, And so when you're writing the long line, like, the maximum should be 79, like, But like in case if you're writing the long line, these are the way you can break the line, like convention, like, But if you want to put a plus sign over here and minus sign over here, it won't work, like, It will be conventional like this, standard, like, And the blank lines, like, how many space you want to, how much gap you want to keep, like. But normally, like, if you want to gap, like, with different functions, here the one function, here the one function, and this gap is, like, preferable, like, So these are the, okay, your choice, like, And import, like, how you can import to different libraries and from standard library, from Python to external library. So like this, like import OS, not like this import OS on comma sys, like, but still you can do it. But the convention is, like, if you do import OS and then the next line import sys, like, And here is, like, if you want to import models and packages and everything, like, so by convention like this, you have to do first this step, like, from features import, like, this blah blah package, and then individual, like, the standard library package, like, operating systems and all this stuff. And then it's like, if every programs, if when you're writing, this is very, very important to writing the make comment, like, so there's inline comment. This is how we can do block comments, which they apply some or all code, like, and document string, like, let's say if you want to put these three code over here, and at the end, if you put three codes, the whole things will be, like, the as in comment, like, the interpreter, the IDE, like, this, you can't read, like, So, and even if you want to make a block comment, like, if you put this hash sign over here and the space, and at the end in here, it will be block comment, like, And then the naming conventions, like, you can stick with this, either lowercase with the underscore if you're the long name, or either uppercase or uppercase underscore, and or the capitulation. But this ugly is like this capitulations and all this and underscore, like, which doesn't look nice, like, And please avoid, like, the L. If you want to use L, like, use the capital L. Otherwise, it just may confuse, like, with the I and L, and same with the 0 and the O, like, the sign letter. And if you want to, like, import like a package in models, how you can write, this should be small lowercase. And same with the class name. If you the cap words convention, like, should use like a cap, or, like, capital letter on the top first, and then again if you want the second letter of the capital letter. And the types of variables name with the same, follow with the class name, like, and the function names should be always lowercase. And if there's a function names, long function names, you can use like a underscore if necessary. And now what we'll do in this video, we'll check whether we have a Python install or not in our computers or laptops, like so just go to the search and just write it on cmd, and in there you can check whether we have a Python install or not. Just write it on Python. If it's installed, it will show you there is what versions you have, and it will go straight away to the Python environment. So if you just write it down 5+2, and you can see it's showing the 7. So you can write it on Python program there as well. So just going to exit from there. Just write an exit and the parenthesis. Get out from the Python environment. So if you do have installed, you can see what version you have, like and if you don't have, you will see the error message. So if you do find you have no Python installed, just go to the Google's or any search engines and write it on Python's download. I have there. So just and from there you can just go to that link, the first link on the top, and then you can see the current version is Python 3.9.6, but I have 3.9.5. so that will do, like so. And if you are using the Macs or the Linux, and you can choose it depends on what operating system you're using, and you can select from there. And if you still do have a problem with installing and downloading Pythons, like just do let me know on the comment sections, and I'll help you. Hello friends, hope you all are well wherever you are. Today we are going to talk about which IDE we can use for writing a Python program. Different person have their different choice. So I prefer Spider or Jupyter Notebook. If you have a Spider installed, that's great, or if you have a Jupyter Notebook installed, that's great. Either one will do, like or if you have a different ID like Atoms or VS Code or anything, like that will do, like but if you install Anaconda, then you will find all the ID it comes with this, like you will see there is Spider. It comes with a Jupyter Notebook, like so if you install Anaconda, then it comes with all of this, and you can just install from there, and it will and it can, once you install, it can launch from there. And so if you are not familiar with Anaconda, like which is great, like you can always download, like and navigator download. I'll just do it. So if you just go to the individual edition, like Anaconda individual editions, there is a couple of them. One is a team edition, one is a commercial edition, a couple of them. So these are the free one, like so if you download and install, and then it comes with all the preloaded ID, and you can install from there. So it takes quite a lot of space, like 477 megabyte. It will take times, like you need to prepare yourself, like it takes quite a lot of time to download and install, like and for the on-screen instruction, like for installations. And if you're still finding hard to install, just please do let me know. And also you can also download and install, like individual Spider. Spider download without installing the Anaconda, like you can obviously install Spider ID, like only on his own. If you just go to that website, from there you can follow the on-screen instruction, like you'll see on the bottom of the page this download for Windows, and if you're using Macs, then it will show you the for the Macs, like and also you can individual download, like Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook. which is another very nice idea, like, you know, for beginner, like, you know. And there's a couple of versions, like, you know. There's it's a bit of lab, like, you know, but the nicer one I'm using, like, you know, I used the notebook, Jupyter notebook, like, you know. And I'll show you, like, you know, the both of them, the Spider and Jupyter notebook as well, when we'll write the code, like, you know. So pretty much this, like, you know, so you can prepare yourself, like, you know, the install and download any of the IDs, like, you know. And from the next video we'll try to writing the programs and stuff, like, you know. So now today we'll write the fast programs on a Spider IDs. We can use the Jupyter notebook as well. So I'm gonna first show you the on a Spider ID. So if we just open a new file from here, just press there, or if you just press go file, new file, or you can use just that new file. And first thing, we just should save the file. From the save, I'm just going to save the desktop and Python basics. So just program. It will save with the .py, and if you just write it down right there, and if you just press the run button, you can see execute in current consoles. Yeah, this one. And you can see the programs running in here, right there, the output. And if you use the Jupyter notebook, like, you know, you can see straight away on your just print. You can use a single or double, like this. Stick to it once, like, you know, the single code, then right there. And if you just press run button on the next line, you will see right there, like, you know, it's very straightforward. So from beginning we will just use the Spider one and see how far we can go with the Spider. Now, so there will be another video I'm gonna put details about to the Spiders, all these functionalities and everything, like, you know. And basically this is the kind of writing code in these sections, and you'll see the results up here. And you can see from here as well if you have plots and stuff, like, you know, in futures, you know, we'll go through the machine learning, deep learning, all this stuff, like, you know. And then you can see the files, my first files in here, like, you know, where exactly it's saved and everything. And you can see that my file was saved in that location. And in variable explorer, like, you know, when you want to debug your program, like, you know, you can do it in here, like, you know. When you create the variables and stuff, like, you know, when you run the programs, and if you find any errors and stuff, like, you know, so you can, in there, you can you will do debugging in the section. You can see it, the variables, different values and stuff, like, you know, you can see in here. So I'll just go show you the Jupyter notebook as well. And in here, like, when you I just started from the Spiders and Jupyter notebook from the Anaconda, like, you know. If you just press launch here, it will launch the programs. Same with the Spider as well. And Anaconda is very helpful, like, you know, if you want to create a virtual environment, like, you know, for a different packages, different versions of the Python stuff, like, you know, which is very helpful. I'll go through this stuff later on. And so to run the Jupyter notebook, like, you know, when you open up this, when you launch, it will open up like this, and then from there you just press new, and it will ask you, like, you know, what you want, Python 3 or terminals or text files, or just Python 3, and it will create another same like this. It will create another like this. Taking times, so I can show you in here, and you can save from here, like, you know, all this, and then save here. It's coming up now. you can just writing a code, like, and if you're into more cell, this called cell, so just press there's a plus button there, and you can create more cell like this. And if you want to cart, just press whichever the one selected one will be cart. I'll go to the shortcut as well, like, to the next video, like, so you will write more code in the next video. Please do let me know if I speak too fast, like, and if I do speak fast, please let me know so I can make more slower, like, so Bandura, today we'll learn how to make a comment, like, block comments, inline comments, and so this line, as you can see, print height here, and this will run, like, if I put, like, the hash sign or pound sign, this line program will run, but you will not see anything on the screen. And even if I write it down on the side, this is comment. So if you run the program, as you can see, this line is not showing on the results screen. If you want to make a, like, block comment, so just copy a few, and we can do shortcut, like, let's, if you just do Control 1, it will do single by line by line comment out, like, and if you press again Control 1, and that will uncomment again. And if you want to do the block comment, like, you can do it like select this line and Control F4, which always you can see from here. If you go to edit, and you can see add block comment, Control 4, and if you want to remove block comment, Control F5. So just press here. For some reason, I don't know why it's not working, like, it should work if you just select and do Control F, Control 5. It's not showing, like, for some reason, I don't know. So if you just run, program will run, but you will see the first line, and this line will not appear because it's a comment out. There's another way you can do commenting out block comment, which is you just uncomment these. Control 1. So if you just do, like, either single or double quote, like, 3 of them on the beginning, and at the end you have to do another 3 at the end, and these at the block comment as well, like, and if you run the programs, this will not run, so the first line is running. So this is the very small and easy, like, and it's very straightforward. So please do make comment on your code, like, while you're writing code, which will be helpful for other person who will read the code, as well as for yourself in future, like, when you read the code, you can understand, like, what exactly you have done, like, while you are writing code. Now in this video we will learn the different variables and these types, like, in Python you cannot write a variable with a number, like, an example 1, you cannot write like this, the variable name. It could be apple equal to 1, you can do like this. And by convention, like, all the variable names with the lowercase, like, and you can do like orange, I mean, this way, like, you can write your variable names. This is the variable names, and you're assigning the value with equal sign with 1. And unlike other language, the name could be the camel case, which is like this, you can do it, like, by Python convention is like this, like, +2. And another thing very important, like, you cannot write like int or at least. These are the Python's default by Python use those names, like so you cannot use those name as in a variable name. So to make sure you just remember this. If you write and you cannot assign with this name, like another thing thing you can just remember, like let's say if you put the x as in and if you do like x equal to 1, it doesn't look great, like though you can do like this, the convention, like if you do 1, which looks great and which looks good, like by read, like anyone can read your code and they can say, okay, it's a nice way of writing code. And another thing you can do, like if you just put n equal to 1, but if you do like anyway, number equal to 1, which is readable and anyone can read what is n means in here, number equal to 1, and you can, if you do again the same variable name equal to the string, and now the variables they change the types, like it was at first it was integer, now it's string. So if I print now, print number, I can't even write number, spelling mistake. If I do like this and if I run the program, you'll see 1, but you see, as I said, like it's changed, like Python variable can change anytime, like and these are the valid code, like Python valid code. So make sure, like you when creating a variable, you should follow the best practice. You should follow, like another very important to remember, I mentioned before as well, you cannot write variable name as an if, else those things, like nor, true, also this stuff, like you cannot write. And just remember this. And you can easily find out, like what type of this variable contains, like the value. Let's say if you just write number equal to 100, and if you just you can see it will show the number is integer, as you can see here. It's this number is integer value is holding, like it's integer value, so you can easily see, like I just need to save. I should have saved earlier. Just save these here. Names. You can do .py or without it. It doesn't matter. Another very important thing is, in Python it has none value. Other programs it is called null, but in Python it's called none. Let's say if I do write number equal to none, and if I print now, print number if you just run the program, you can see number equal to none, because I have assigned none, so they will print nothing. So it's pretty much like the naming conventions and variable assigns and stuff, like so make sure you should follow the best practice, like Python convention. I gave you the link, like pep8.org, like where you'll find all the details, like how to write the variable names, today we'll learn numbering in Python. In Python, there are three types of numbers. We use integer, float, and complex. And there's another data types. There are objects. I made a mistake there, the spelling. Which by saying that means we can create a new one by calling methods, these are the valid integer numbers, and the float numbers. This is how the valid float numbers you can write, like this. You can assign float numbers. These are the variable names, and you're assigning the value. And the complex numbers, this is how you write the complex number in Python. Another thing, you can add integers and float numbers together, and the result will show the float. Let's say there's the a equal to 5, which is a float number, and b equal to integer numbers, and you can see the results will be float. I'll just run the program here, and as you can see, c equal to 7.0, which is a float number. In Python, you use the Boolean types, and the Booleans are also a number, under the hood of the Python. Booleans are the true or false, and the true, which is a 1, and the false, which is a 0. A lot of times the people asking different questions, about this sign. We all know that this is the % sign, but in programming, in Python, we call modulus, it's not a % sign. And how does it work? I'll show you the example here. That let's say an example: a divided by b with c remaining. Let's say the remaining value is c equal to 2. So Bandura, we all know in mathematics, this is how we do mathematical operation. First parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication, divisions, addition, and stuff. Easy to remember is PEMDAS. So if you remember this, so you can follow step by step which comes first, and this is a sign, the division sign, when you write the program, this sign, we divide something, what it is not really rounding down, rather it is just dropping functional part, after decimal point, if you divide something, and if there's a long after decimal point, there's a quite long functional point, so it will cut down, so if you run this program, and you can see the result, which I already run earlier, you can see 2.75. So it could be 75, but it just make a short form, dropping functional part, so this is pretty much numbering in Python. There will be other way, people are writing programs, so this is the basic. So I hope you enjoy this, and please subscribe to my channels, and this will encourage me to create more content. In this video we will learn about the string, in Python, we'll try to go as much detail as we can. So in Python, you can for the string, you can use either a single quote or double quote, let's say, or you can use double quote. I don't know. Here again, you can do either single quote or double quote. Try to stick with the one. I prefer the single quote, which is more quicker, so yes, we just do name, and if we just print, you can see both we can print out in here. Another thing, we can do concatenation. in a string, like you can put two together, like let's say I just change. So as you can see, this is getting together, like to get rid of this, like you can do small thing, just the single quote, put a gap there, but if you want to put a plus sign again over there to keep the space, like to the string. And do, let's say you want to write it, or which is a short form, like it is. So for when you're writing, you can do let's say, you can see now it's working, it's Mohammed, it is. So if you use double quote, you don't have to use the backslash. Sure, there, use the double quote, you don't have to use backslash. This Mohammed. So it's your personal choice, like whichever you prefer, like either want to single quote and use the backslash, or the double quote, like and if you want to use the long greetings, like long message, like couple of lines, like so in that case you just use a 3 quote, like and then write it down. Showing the example, like and then at the bottom, that's the 3 quote. And if you want to print out, message, and from the program you can see. So if you want to use a long message, like you can use the multiple lines, like you can use the 3 and the triple quotes, like and a lot of times you need to formatting the string, like now if I run the program, that's where I'm going, then you can see here what is doing. The F string will allow you to simply and easily reference variables in your code, like so that F is referencing that variable, and that variables you are pointing in here with the parentheses, like so this F is pointing that variables. First the double quote, and then at the end you use the single quote. It will show you the error, like just showing the syntax error, like you can see if you put it here, like the code analysis, which is showing the errors. So make sure, like it's both, and it has to be either single or double quote, like Another thing you can see while you are doing, you want to concatenate it, like integers and string, which will not possible, like if you have to convert it. If you convert it, like if it's a string, you want to convert it to integer, so you need to put in front of a string the integer, int. And if you are on the vice versa, if you want to put the integer to the string, so for integer value you need to put, like a string in front of it, like so I'll show you with the example here. This is a type error, you see. You can only concatenate string, not int to string. So in that case, like the my age is an integer value. So if you want to change to the string, you just simply put your string, which is a method, like now you can do it Mohammed 27. The vice versa if you want to Mohammed 27. But let's say you want to from string to int, you want to convert it to int, so just write it. So once it's converted, like, my string to int, it's adding, like, 54. So what we can do, just put the comma, and that will see will be 27. So here is h27 integer value, and this is the string converted to the integer, which is 27. So this is the basic regarding the string in Python. Like, there will be more details on a string in future videos, like, and so if you have any question, please do let me know. Today we will learn in this video about the functions, like, how you can write the functions, how you can pass the argument within the functions, and how the functions return the results, like, so what are the functions? The functions, in a nutshell, like, you can reuse your code, and it's more readable, and it's divide the code in a nice way in a different chunk, like, so that you can reuse your code, and it's pretty much save your time, like, I mean you don't have to write again and again same thing, the same. You can use the functions again and again in different places without writing a code, like, so so there's some instruction, like, some rules to write a function, like, what is it? So first thing, you have to write def keyword, which is telling that, like, you are starting a function. The function name, let's say what function, and this is semicolon, and the parentheses, like, and then colons. These are the must have, like, you have to do. And then the second thing, the function body, like, so let's put a print message in here. Function. So if you put this print over here, it will show the error message, like, it has to be indentation, like, and this is the pretty much nutshell in a function, like, basic function. Like, within parentheses you can pass the argument as well. So we'll do another function, like, how to pass the argument in here, like, so let's start other functions. Def keyword function with arguments, so semicolon, colon, and another print message, let's say I, and undo the formatting string message, one, which will be what can you say, the best other formatting string message, and then passing them greetings. I didn't put the argument, so let's say greetings, the name of the arguments one, and then name. So we'll put this two over here again. So this, and now how you can call the functions, like, so the calling the functions, the function, you just simply, like, call the function name, my function, and the second functions you can just write function with arguments. So when you call this function, you have to pass the arguments, like, with a string, like, so if you want to pass a string message, so you have to write the string, so good evening, good evening, and then what you can pass the name, So, and then if you run the code, you can see the result. Hi, this is the first function, like, and hi, good evening, I wish you all the best mode. So this S meaning to the first argument, and that S is second argument, like, so, and then you're passing the argument, both argument in here, and once you call the functions, like, you're putting the default, like, the message, like, whatever message you'll pass in here, it will show in here, like, so if you put the good morning, it will show the good morning. Good morning. So you pass whatever the message you pass, it will show in here. So another thing, like, how the function will return any result, like, let's say you want to addition, subtractions, or division, like, say another function, def keyword first, and then let's say you want to add something, like adding, oh, look at this spelling mistake, 2 numbers. So you just pass, like, argument B, and then colon, and then return and return what you want, like, the adding 2 numbers. So that's B, so that will return. So if when you're calling the function, because you are returning something, like, so when you so that means that function is returning something, and when you're calling this function, adding 2 numbers, so let's say adding numbers 5 and then let's say 4, that result is return, have to store somewhere, like, so you have to store in here, like, results to numbers and equal sign. So when is returning, look at this spelling mistake, so it will store in that variable, like, so because it's returning 2 numbers, the results. So, and we're going to print out the results now in here, print out results 2 numbers. I don't want, just we are printing the result 2 numbers, so it will show, it'll print out the 9. So this is the, in a nutshell, like, basic functions, and how you pass the argument within the functions, and how you return from the functions anything, and this is how you write, and then how you're calling the functions. The first function we call in here, the second function with the argument in here, and third functions we call in here, and the results are storing in the one variable, and later on we just print that result, like, what is it, like, so this in a nutshell, like, this is how basic, like, the functions. The more complex, like, when you go for advanced, like, we will show you, like, how you can call the functions and things, like, how you create the instance, like, from one class to another, and then you call the functions, like, so you can show in advance in series, like, so thank you for watching, like, I hope you enjoy, like, and please do subscribe my channels, and please make a comment, like, if I made a mistake or anything, like, I'll correct myself, like, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. The last video we did about the functions, like, how to create the simple functions, how to create the function with the arguments, and the function with the return, like, I was thinking to add some more on the functions, regarding functions, like, so in this video we will we'll do a couple of more examples, and we'll go through it. So let's do the other file. Let's save it. Now in this video what we'll do, we need to make sure that the functions with the arguments when you call them, it has to be in order. And also you can create the function with keywords, with argument, like default values. You can pass the default value when you create the functions, like so we'll just create an example. Let's see. You know how to create the function. So first the def keyword, so we put the name of the function, breaking parentheses, and then colon. And indentation is very important, like functions, whenever written functions. So okay, we'll pass the the argument, which is let's say name, and then pass the message print. So what we'll do, last time we did the person sign with the string value, passing them, formatting the comments and stuff, like and now this time we will do another way, like a f, with the f, formatting the function, the message, like so the first the name, and second parameters, which is greeting. So what we'll do, we'll just call the functions, like so we'll pass the two there's a two arguments. So the first argument, we pass the string, so the second arguments, you can pass the message, let's say morning. Now, so if you just run this, you can see Mohammed, good morning. So this is and you can change, like the names and stuff, like when you're calling the functions, so you can whatever you can put this in here, like so it will print out. Another thing we can do, which is we can pass the default values when you are declaring the arguments, which will be, let's say, we'll just copy these functions. So the name, and the greetings you can pass as well, morning, and then you can call them the functions again. So this is the name and then greetings. So if you just run this, and to call them functions, so just call the functions again. Now, as you can see, the first functions, this greeting, which is in here, and the second function we pass the default message, so which is string. But we just change here, let's see, good night. So you can see the difference. So this is the second with the default argument message, and without default, like, you know, you can pass. Now what we'll do the next, and another thing very important, like, you know, if you put like say arguments, like there's two arguments. When you calling the functions, there has to be two arguments you have to pass. If you pass this to one argument, this will not work. So just throwing in here, let's say, let's copy this one, and so if we just to one only, and if you just call this this function again, if you call returns and just passing the name, it's not going to work. So just close this one, Control F4, Windows. Run this mess. So you see the greeting is missing one record positional argument. So we pass only one there, like, you know, you need to pass two argument the message. So make sure you always pass the number of arguments when the functions, it has to match it when you're calling the functions, like, you know, so make sure you do this. And what else we can do? Another very important is when you create the functions, like, you know, for within the functions arguments, like, you know, passing the arguments, never use the list which is mutable types, like, you know. So we will go through in the advanced series, like, you know, more about the list, like, you know, but make sure you never use empty list when within the functions argument, like, you know. You will find out more on the advanced series, like, you know. And another thing, you can follow the standard rules, like, you know, when you create the functions, make sure put the function name what it does, like, you know. Let's say you are adding two numbers, so you put the function name adding two numbers, or if you want, let's say, greeting, like, you know, put the function as a greeting, so it can give you the impression, like, you know, what this function does, like, you know, which is very important, like, you know. And then what else we can do, which we talked about in earlier, like a naming convention, like, you know. Right, another very important thing is the function scope, like, you know. Let's say we created functions. Just put it down. Versions. So going to show the example of the function scope, like, you know. So we just create a variable. Present version which I'm using is excuse me, 3.9, which is
is the variable within the function, its scope, like, and so let's put the curly brace, and so passing this variable in here. Next thing what you can do, you call this functions. So let's write copy lazy program, let's copy and paste excuse me. Now if you just going to mute this comment out. Now when you run this program, now we can see Python version info inside the function, which is 3.9. so this variable, it will work within these functions, like, let's say you want and I'm just showing the example, like, the variable scope, like, within the functions, like, let's say if you want outside the functions, like, you want to see, like, how it works, like, so if you just try to print so if you go outside the function, if you call that variable, it's not gonna work. You see the undefined name Python versions, because that variable is inside these functions, like, so it's not gonna work. If you try to run, you see the name errors, Python version is not defined, so which is very important to remember, like, this variable will only work within these functions. It's not going to work, like, outside the functions, like, so make sure you always follow this and you remember this. And what else you can talk about the functions, regarding functions. So another thing, when you create the functions, there's a constant as well, like, and the functions can be changed, their values and things like, but when you use the constant, like, they're fixed, so you can put the constant on the top of the functions, like, when we'll do the example, like, when you create the project, like, we'll show you, like, how to do this, like, how to declare constant and what is the what is the naming convention, like, normally constant we write the capital letters and the with the underscore, like, and the variables we write with the small letter with the underscore, like, so just to remember this. What else we can go through the functions? Yeah, very important, the practice makes a man perfect, like, so the more you practice, the more idea will develop, more you will learn more, like, so very important, you can do practice, like, so I hope you enjoy, like, and please do subscribe to my channel, and please let me know, like, where I'm going wrong, and it will encourage me, like, to correct myself, and hopefully we'll continue, like, advanced series and machine learning, deep learning, so all this stuff, like, so please do subscribe my channel. In this video we will see about the true and false, like, Boolean logic, like, so a couple of things you need to remember, like, that 0 is a false,
and the rest of the numbers, even the negative numbers, are true. It'll show like and we learn like that the data structure like list, sets, tuple, dictionary. If they are empty, they will be false. It'll show false like and if it's with the items with this within it like it will show the true like and sometimes when you will see the none type like that is also will be false like so we'll go through like coding example like so let's say like I want to see whether 10 is greater than 5. Is it true or false like so, or to find that quickly like you want to, rather than writing all of this like we're just going to quick like a bool operator like it will show you whether it is true or false like so we know like a 10 is greater than 5, so it will show true. And if we put like a less than sign, 10 less than 5, obviously 5 is not greater than 10 like so it will show false like and the -1 is also show the true like and then the 0 is also show the false like so if you run this as you can see, none is true or false is false like so none type, none is true or false. And the 10 is greater than 5. Is it true? It's true, yes. So here's a true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. No. What's next? The next is it's an empty string as well like if it's an empty string it will show the false like but there is a string inside it will show the true. So let's run these. As you can see, this is true and false like I just need to close these and you can see more clearly. Yeah, true and false like the string with the true, and empty string with the false like so I'm just going to comment out. And here is an example with a list. It's an empty list. We know how to create a list like so to check whether the empty list is true or false. This is an empty list, and there's a two way you can create the empty list: this and the list with the first bracket like and the square bracket, and the list with items like as you can see. If you run the program, empty list false, empty list false, list with items is true. There you go. Now next with the set like the same. We know how to create the empty set like set with the first bracket, and how to create the set with items like so run this. Very simple, straightforward. And empty set is false, set with items is true. What's next? A tuple. We know that tuple like how to create empty tuples. Just this first bracket, and if with items is only one items, make sure put the comma at the end like so tuples with items, one items. So it will show like first one is a false, second one is true, and the last one is dictionary like how to create the empty dictionary like the last video you've seen like dictionary. The two way we can create like empty dictionary and dictionary with the items, key, value. So the first two will be false, and the last one will be the true. So the next video we will do more sort of true and false, like greater than signs, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, all this stuff like So see you next video. Thanks. Bye bye. Today we will learn about the comparison sign like less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to like so all the sign like in maths like we learned how the sign of that less, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to like so we'll see in the code like how we can do all of these like so these are the less than like 100 less than 200 like 100 is obviously less than 200, and 100 less than, equal to 100. Obviously 100 equal to 100 like so in other ways it's true like 100 less than 50 is false, 100 less than, equal to 90 false. And this line means like a new line like with the new line. So here you can see greater than 200, greater than 200, of course, yes, true. 200 greater than, equal to 100 is true. 200 greater than 500 false. 200 greater than, equal to 500
is false. 500 obviously is greater than 200, so and minus 20 is greater than 20. No, it's false. And here, as you can see, if I run the program, you can see all these true, true, false, false. So this is how we can write in the code, how to implement in a code if you want to any of the operation you want to use, and equality sign, this is the equal sign, and this is the assign. We can assign any variable, any value with this sign, and if you want to do make sure you want to equal, is it equal, so this two equal sign, and it's not equal. So here's the two variables, answer 1, answer 2, and I'm trying to print out, is it both the same? Is it just two equal to sign? Yes, it will be true. I'm just going to comment out these, and if I run this program, and it will show it's true. Yes, answer 1, that is true. And if you see, the answer 1 equal to 5, answer 2 equal to 1, I'm trying to figure out, whether it's true or false. Answer 1 not equal to answer 2. Yes, it is. It will be true, as you can see, is true, because obviously 5 and 1 is not same, it will be false. So, and here you can see another variable, answer 1 apple, answer 2 with a string, I'm trying to figure out is it true or false. So here you can see answer 1 equal to answer 2 is true. Answer 1 not equal to answer 2, I'm saying it will be false, because it is true, both variable has apple, so either first one will be true, second one will be false. I'm saying is not equal to, but actually it is true, so this is not equal to sign. And even to identity check, we operate is and is not, so you want to create the list, so I create the two fruit list 1, list 2, and with both this is the same string, apple, banana, everything is the same. So if I print out, the fruit 1, fruit list 1 and fruit, is it true? Yes, it is true. If I run this, I'm just going to comment out this one, and if I run, you'll see it will be true. But let's see if I do this, if I just change it like a capital A, it will be false, because it's not same anymore. You see, false. So you can see. And another thing you can check, is it fruit list 1 is fruit list 2? Yes. It'll be false, because it's two different memory address, they are not same, fruit list 1 is fruit list 2. Am I saying, is it true, is it false? And here is, you can see, with is and is not, you can check with either true, false, or none, so I'm just going to comment out these, uncomment out one variable is true. I'm saying 1 is true. Yes, 1 is true. It is true, because I put that is true, 1 equal to true, so if I run this, you can see is first one is true, 2 equal to false. I'm saying, yes, 2 equal to false, 2 is false, 2 is false, yes, false is true, is showing is string true, but 2 is not true, 2 is not false. I'm saying it will be false, because it is true, 2 I assign a false, so, but I'm saying 2 is not false, which is false, because it is true, so today in this video we will learn and, or, and not operator in Python, how to use, in some of the language, Java or JavaScript, you see, they use the sign, and signs, or signs, but in Python we use and or sign, all this stuff, or bit operator, but we for better readability, we use and or and not, instead of a sign, and so I just created the two variable, for especially for the and, it has to be both side true, then the expression will be true. If it's one of the expression is false, the answer will be the false, so you see, in the first two, answer 1 and answer 2, they're both true, so I'm saying answer 1 and answer 2, the both expression is true, so answer will be, the result will be true, so true. And here you can see, one of the variable, I put the false, so it will be false, because in and, especially for the and, it has to be both side true, otherwise it will be false expression, so now the second one, you can see, it'll be false, false.
And for the especially with the or operator, in the operator, like either one of the, if it's true, the expression will be true, like so even if the both are true, obviously true, but if it's one of the expression like a true, it'll be true, like so just going to show you there are three of them. And if both are false, obviously the answer will be false, like so the three of them here, both are true, obviously it'll be true. If one of the expression is true, it'll be true. It's saying either or, either A or B. If A is true, expression is true. This is how, like so you can see, like first true or false, true, true, and false, because you see the both are true, obviously true. One of them is true, is true. Both are false, false. So now what's next? We can check like a not operator, like not is like basically is a reverse, like if I say not, you see the answer one is true, I said, like but I'm saying, like that not answer one, that means it's false, like not operator will give you the reverse, or if it's true, it'll be false, and if it's false, it'll be true, like so if I run this, as you can see, the first one is false, second one is true. So I said answer one equal to true, I assign like true, but I'm saying not answer one, that means it will be reversed, like will be false, and this is a false, but I'm saying not answer one will be true. So I hope you guys enjoy, like and you can do mix and combination, like and or and not, like make a big long expression, like and you can play with this, like you can see how it's react, like how you the result will give you, like so just to make sure, like and operator has to be both sides true, both expression has to be true. And operator or operator, either one of them will be true, expression will be true. And then not operator obviously always give the reverse order, like reverse answer. So see you next video. Please do subscribe my channel. Today we will learn about if, else, if, how to use in Python program, like so let's jump to the code. Here is a if example. So I just create a variable number, and which is equivalent to 7, like I assign. So if number greater than 5, we'll print out this statement. So if is basically, if the statement is true, it will execute this the next line of code, like and so if I run this, and you can see we are learning Python basic, like basically number is 7 is greater than 5. And if you want to use, like not operator, like in with if statement, like what does it mean, like it will be reversed, like if the statement is true, it won't print out, like and so here's an example, like if not number is greater than 5, so number 7, we know 7 is greater than 5, so it's true, but it will not print out, like it won't execute this action, like just if I run this, there'll be nothing, like but if it's false, it will print out. Let's say the 11 is greater than obviously 7, like now it will print out, because this other way around, like it works like a true or false, like it's the not operator. So bit tricky, like just do a bit of practice, like it will come along with this, like so you see you're learning Python basic, like so if you want to not operator, it work other way around, like when it's true, it will be false. When it's false, it will be true, like other way around, like so. And how to use the nested if. So indentation is very important in Python, like so here is the if. Within if there's another if statement, like so you see indentation. So I'm just calling, I made a functions, like so you know how to get the function, def keyword, and the name of the functions, and colon, first bracket, like and I put the argument like a number, like when I call the functions, I put the passing the number. So I'm just creating the functions, and I'm calling this function here. So I'm saying, like if is 8, I'm passing the number 8. If 8 is greater than 7, this print this will execute, like and even that statement will execute, because both are true, like it is less than 10 as well, like so if I run this program, you can see both statements are printing, like so basically if it's both true, like it will print, like so else example, like else is basically if statement is false, it will go through else statement, and if statement is true, you will never execute the else statement, like, so here. So just showing the first example here, you can see, like, number three is obviously is not greater than 7, so it will go to else statement. Check your number, please. Check your number, please. So you can see, so if I go through this, number 8 is obviously greater than 7, like, so it won't go to the else statement, it will all the if statement, like, this is how we can use, like, else, if and else statement. Another thing is, like, the elif, which is else if in Java, like, so how to use this, like, you can use as many as you can else if, like, so it will check the program, like, which whatever the statement will be true, it will print, like, so I'm just create the functions, and you can call the function here. So I just put in the number 100. So 100 is obviously number 100 is greater than 10, so it will print out this number. You see, number is greater than 10, so I just putting, like, if number 100 is greater than 10, then this statement will print out, like, so if I say, let's say I put the 14, so this statement will print out, like, is less than 15. Obviously it's I mean, definitely number 14 is, so its first statement will execute, like, so this is how we can play with the code, like, So far we have covered basic strings and numbers in Python, and now what we will do, some advanced data types, which are list, tuple, index, and set. We'll cover one by one, and they are called container objects, and these the container objects will help us to organize other types of objects into one data structure. So we'll start with the first list. Where do you use list? Like, we can see plenty of examples, like, in Python, like, the list have been used. Normally list used for sorting similar items, and where items need to be added or removed, like, So how you can create list, like, you can create the empty list like this with a bracket, or list with the first bracket, like, like this empty list. And if you want to create item within the list, like, this is how, like, name of the variables, and you assign inside the bracket, like, if it's a string like this, and if it's integer, like, without colon, like, and how to search in a list, like, the search method, like, these are the search method. If you want to search an item in the list, so the name of the list dot index, and index is, like, which item number, which item you want to find out, like, so put in here. And or using by loop, like, when we'll cover the loop, and you can see, like, how we can do it. So item in my list is the name of the list name, and searching speed, any items in the list, compared to other container objects type, like, the list is a bit slow, because each item must be checked, like, and so the frequently used methods are, like, how to add an item in the list. You can just append the name of the item, like, and if you want to specific location, either in the middle or in the front or back, like, you can do it, like, insert method, like, insert a name or number of the index, like, either first or beginning, in the middle, or end, and the end, or the name of the item, like, this is how you can add, like, now, and if you want to remove any item from the list, it's the pop method we use, like, and if you want to see the length of the list, the method is just write a length and name of the list, like, it will print out, like, the size of the list. And
if you, the very important, like, if your list is not organized, like, so you can sort all the items within the list. It is sortable. So the name of the list or sort method will sort everything in place, like, and either you can do ascending order, descending order. If you want to do descending, this is my list or sort, simple, very easy, like, we'll go through example, like, and if you want to reverse the item in the list, my list would reverse, like, so very, very nice. And the list preserved in order, yes, I mean it does, like, you can access any items with the index number, like, and in that case it's very fast, like, it goes straight, like, like array, like, if you don't know the index number, it will go straight that place. A list is mutable, which is I mean, if you create the list, you can change it, like, compared to tuple, which is the type. So once you create it, you cannot change it, like, its value. So hopefully we will go through example in the next video, like, so let's jump to the ID, like, spider we are going to use. So this is how you can create the empty list, like, the name of the list and the bracket, and you can see the type of the what type it is, like, this is where we can see is it a list or something else, like, another way you can create the list, empty list with the first bracket, like, and if you run this program, you can see the class are list type. They are the list type, like, I'm just going to close now. Let's jump to the next, how to create the list within the items, like, this is how you can create the list with items, like, so here's int items, like, just put the number 1 2 3 4, anything you can put, like, is number, like, and with a string value we need to put, like, a quotation, either a single quotation or double, like, so you can either way you can stick to one, like, either single or double. And so if you want to see, like, the print items, like, let's see this print, this is how you can see a list with items when you're creating the list, like, and if you want to find anything, what's the length of the list, like, very simple, like, just put the length keyword in front of the name of the list, and you can see the length of this list. Its length is 4. So next what we'll do is how to access the list items, like, let's say you want to see what's in your list, like, and how to access it on those, like, so I create another list, like, my food list, and I created with the food's name, like, and if you want to see what's in there, the 0th positions or number 4th positions, the number 4th position is there's no number 4th, you see 0 1 2 3, and you can see it will show the arrow, like, there is nothing in the number 4th positions, like, the apple is in the 0th positions, like, let's see if you want to see what's in the number 3 position, we will show the cherry, like, it'll show the cherry, like, and finding the specific item in the list, if there's a list item, let's say number 5, anything in there, basically it's nothing there, like, and if you want to update, like, list, let's say if you want to put the watermelon in the position 3, so the cherry, instead of a cherry, it will be the watermelon, like, and I am just calling that again, like, on my food list, like, and here is how you need to create the update, like, the name of the list and the position number, index number, the 0, and then you put the name of the whatever they want to put, like, so if you run these, and you can see this apple, banana, orange, and watermelon. Now my food list now is printing, like, because it's updated now. And you can also create the valid list without a comma, like, but this is not the fancy way, like, for readable purpose, like, it's always nice to put a comma, like, so if you see, like, if I run this, and you can see it's showing, like, list is created, like, but there's no space there, like, everything is together, like, and one more thing is very important, like, if you forget to put the end of the bracket, like, it will show the syntax error, even the ID will show you the unaccepted you know, the code is not right, like, you know, you have to put, like, you know, ending bracket, sorry, the bracket, ending bracket, then you can see, like, you know. So these are the, we'll go through more about the list, like, you know, another video, like, you know. So when you create the list, let's say I create the list here, my match score, like, let's say cricket score. This is the my cricket match score. So you want to sort these. Let's say I just want to original. This is how it looks like when I run my list. When I this is, you can see it's original. This is how it looks like. And if you want to sort this list, like, you know, like ascending order, like a small to bigger, like, you know, so just run this, and you can see smaller one 122, then 175, 193, all the way to 385. So this is very simple, like, you know, it seems like it's very hard, like, you know, how to sort your list items and everything. Just put the sorted functions, like, you know, and inside the bracket put the list, name of the list, like, you know, my match score. This is how it will ascending order it will do. And you can see my, but this is the copy of the list, like, you know, your original list are still as it is, like, you know, if you see the original list is still as it is, like, you know, but when I did sorted method, like, you know, functions, it does, like, you know, the sorted my list, like, you know, but the original is still as it is, like, you know, it just copying your list, like, you know, from original list. And if you want to the descending order, like, you know, let's say from bigger to smaller, there you can see descending order from bigger to smaller. How you do the bigger to smaller? The same functions, the sorted functions here, but then another you see the sorted function, sorted, and the name of the list, and the reverse equal to true. That will descending order. And I want to show you, like, you know, how you can do, like, you know, you can play with the code, like, you know. The reason I put it earlier, because if I'm writing all of these, it takes more time, like, you know. So if I do, like, you know, my my match score dot, it will give you all the functions, like what are the functions available. So I want to do the reverse, like, you know, so you're going to do the reverse, and then put the what I was doing, let's see, yeah, I want to like this, like, you know, reverse. So if you just comma here, and then you can see it will give you the some hints, like, you know, the pre-built, like, you know, sorted functions, what you can do, like, you know. So I want to reverse, like, you know, that's, so I want to reverse keyword, reverse. As you can see, I just put the RE and then in Windows Control and a space bar, and it will give you the hints, like, you know. So I want to do reverse, select this one, press enter, and write true. And you can see another calibrates. And this is how, like, you know, you can do it, like, you know, as you can see, descending order is bigger to smaller, but my still original list are as it is, like, you know. So when you do the ascending and descending, the sorted method will do a copy of the original list, and it does, like, you know, to changing the order, like, you know. If you want like, you know, reverse, like, you know, let's say that you have original list, like, you know, this is the original 175, 200 and 193, this, like, you know. And if you just, like, you know, completely reverse order, like, you know, bigger to smaller, so you can do this one, that method, reverse method, like, you know. So name of the list and the reverse, and that will reverse completely, like, you know, as you can see, it reverse, like, you know. So 385,
1 2 2 300, like it's going the other way around, like as you can see, there's my original list. It was reversed like a 385, and then 1 2 2 300. It was, look at this, so it's reversed like this. Is very useful, like another very important for you, all of us, like if you want to find any functions, you are looking for something and you can't remember like what function to use exactly, like use the built-in help functions, like so if you put dot here, and it will give you all the function available up, and like you want to add something, you want to clear, copy, count, there's plenty. We're going to use all of them, like if you want to be a Python developer, like definitely, very useful, like if you just can't remember like what function to use, like just the help and the list dot, it will give you all the built-in functions, like so you can, very helpful, like to search like what method, what function to use, like so use this tool, like the next thing I will do, if you want to add an item in the list, like so this is my original list. I created another list, like it's like apple, banana, orange, and cherry. And this is my original, just printing like the original. I want to add, like this is the append method, like I'm just adding one more items in the list, like and then updated my fruit list here. So if you just run the program, I can see my original fruit list is this one: apple, banana, orange, and cherry. And updated my fruit list when I appended, like the watermelon came all the way lost. So this is how you can update your list, like you're going to add something like more new. So I leave it my my fruit list because I need later on. And another very important, like let's say you want to, in a specific location, you want to add any items, like this is how you can do it, like with the index number, like as you know, like list index starting from the 0. So here 0 1 2 3, so my list is 0 to 3. So if I want to put the position number 1, so this is the insert method, like if you want to insert. So let's say I deleted this line, and you'll see, like when I put my list name and dot, it will give you all the functions. So I want to do insert method. So here's the insert method, and which, as you can see, like insert method of which, now what number, so on to position number 1, and then comma, and then you want to put the name of the item. Like I say, I want to put another force plum. And now updated list, let's see, position number 1, you see plum has been added, like so 0 1, position number 1, the plum has been added, like this is, you use the insert method. You want a specific location you want to add, like something. And another, like you have, let's say you have multiple lists, like you want to put all them together, like so this is how, like as you can see, my fruit list is a one of the lists, and I want to create another list, and the fruit color list. Let's say, like the apple, which color is pink, and banana is yellow, orange is red, cherry is red, like and what else I did added in my, yeah, the cherry, the banana, and how come there's my green and red, or probably the green is the watermelon, like and the red something else. Anyway, so if you run this, like and you want to, oh sorry, I created the list, like a fruit color list, like so how many fruits are in my original list? 1 2 3 4 5 fruits. So I put the 5 fruit color, 1 2 3 4 5 6. I don't know why you put the 6, like should be 5. Let's say I deleted this. So 0 1 2 3 4, 0 1 2 3 4, right? And you want to extend, like let's say I want to put together, like my fruit list dot extend. Which list you want to extend? This one. So I want to put together, and then you can see like in my original photo list, this is how it will be together, like, you know. If I run these, as you can see, like, you know, the updated list now, like, you know, this is my fruit list is now, this is how big and long, like, you know, apple, plum, banana, orange, and cherry, and this is the name of the fruits, like, you know, the fruit color. Right. Oh, I made a mistake here. I remember I added, like, you know, a watermelon. I appended, like, you know, and so this is how I put the green, like, you know, watermelon was green, like, you know, and then there was the last was red or cherry red. Now if I run these, as you can see, watermelon has been added. I did appended, like, you know, and this is how the updated list now. What else we can do? The searching an item in the list, like, you know, and to see, like, you know, whether the item is available in the list, you know, you can see, like, you know, it will give you the true or false, like, you know, is a pink, is it in my list, like, you know, pink in my list, in my fruit list, or white. Let's say the pink is, we know that it is inside the list, like, you know, it will give you true, but white is not in our list, like, you know, so it will give you false, like, you know. So if you run this, you see true or false, like, you know. So this is how you can see, like, you know, before we search anything, like, you know, that will give you straight away, like, you know. And if you want to search by index number, let's see my fruit list index number 1. What is it? Index number 1, the plum. It will give you the plum. But if it's not in the list, like, you know, it will give you the out of index, like, let's say 12. The list is from 0 to 11, like, you know, but if I give you the number 12, it will give you the out of range, like, you know. Here you see, list is out of range, but my item searching by index number is the index number 1 is a plum. So make sure if whenever there is a bigger than, like, you know, the list then it will give you the out of range, like, you know. So just to show you the example, like, you know, how to out of range, like, you know. Let's say you have a bigger list, like, you know, you want to find out, like, you know, how many inside this, how many same items inside this list, like, you know. So you can use the count method, count function, like, you know. It will give you the how many exactly, like, you know. Let's say apple is only 1, but let's say if I want to update, like, you know, let's say I want to change of to apple. It will give you now 2 apple inside my list. As you can see, 2 apples, you know. So this is how we can see, like, you know, count method, how many the same item inside your list, like, you know, count functions, like, you know. And if it's not in let's say it's a carrot, it will be out of, it will be index, I mean it's 0, like, you know, item same item is 0, like, you know. There's no carrot in the list, like, it will show the 0, like, you know. So I'll change it. Now the remove functions, like, you know, how you want to remove something from the list, like, you know. But there's a 2 function. One is the remove functions, one is the pop functions, like, you know. But if you want to use remove, it remove specific items. If you want to, like, you know, the apples you want to remove, but it has to pass 1 argument, like, you know. I'll show you there, like, you know, the example. Let's say if I open up this, and then if I run this, it will remove the apple, and then my current up-to-date list now, there's no apple now, you see. But let's say if you want to carrot here, you want to remove carrot, but we don't know there's a carrot, so you'll see the review arrow, you'll see there, remove x not in my list, like, you know, the carrot is not in my list, like, you know. So it's very simple, like, you know. So I'll change it to apple. Now the pop functions, yeah, you can also remove the pop function, actually remove from the last item from the list, you know. But you also can remove any specific items, like, from the list with the index number, like, you know. And this is how we can do, like, you know, This is the pop method, like this. What is my the last items? The red, like last item in my list is the red. So if I run these, you see the red items will be deleted. You see the green, after green it should be red. You see them, the green then red, but there's no more red there, like and you can also pass the index number, like this index number is, what is in my index number is plum is in 0th index and orange is in the sorry, this one, apple is in my first index, and this is showing the up to date, like the last one when I deleted this, like so the apple will delete it, like so let's say I want to close this one, and you can see the remove the item, last item, the red item has been deleted. But if you and this is my, you see the plum, apple, orange and everything in the list. But if you open up this method, like with the index number, index 1 you want to delete, like so if you run this program now, you can see apple is gone. It was index 1, 0, 1, so 0, 1, index number 1 is gone. So we learned quite a lot of functions and methods in the list, like so I hope you guys enjoy, like please do subscribe my channel. This will encourage me, like to create the more content, like the last video we talked about list, and so far we have covered quite a lot of stuff about the list, like now in this video we'll do the tuples, another data structures, like so tuples are immutable. What does it mean? Once you create it, you cannot change it, like it is good for data read-only purpose. I mean, let's say you put the information in a spreadsheet, like and you have no intention to change it or delete it, like in that case tuple is the best, like and as I said, like you cannot edit or change or remove the items once it has been created, like so how to create the tuples, like if you, there's a two way you can create the tuple. The empty tuple, this is how empty you can create, like a name of the tuple, like my tuples equal sign and then the first bracket, like or name of the tuples equal to tuples first bracket, like I'll go through an example in a code, like I'm just going to the some sort of cheat sheet, like details, like if you want to create with items to the tuples, like if it's very very important, like for one items, just for one items, like if you just put like a 1, it has to be comma, otherwise it won't recognize as a tuple, like but if there's a multiple items, like this is how you can create, like but at the end you don't have to put the comma, like but for one items it has to be comma at the end, like and you can search tuple, like with the index number, like and if the item is not available, it will show, it will give you the error message, like and this is how, like the name of the tuples dot index and the item positions or name, like you can search it, like this way, or with the for loop, like item in my tuples, like is it available, like, is it in my tuple, like this item. What are the disadvantages, like the disadvantage is, like it is a bit slow because it has to be checked every single item, like whether it is available or not, like and another thing, like it cannot be added or removed once it has been created, like and it cannot be sorted either, like where we can see the list, like you can sort it ascending, descending or reverse, like but you cannot do on the tuples. Let's go back to the code, like we'll see the examples and how we're doing a code, like let's go back to the spider ID. Let's say how to create one item, an empty tuple. This is how you create the empty tuple. You see, this name of the tuple, any name of the variable, like and this is how it will recognize by ID Python interpreter, like it is a tuple. So you see this, I just create printed, like types. What type it is, my tuple, it will give you, let's say run the program, it will tuple.
and here I just want to show you there. This is where with the one items, you see there's the comma at the end, and if I run this, as you can see, this is a tuple as well. To find out what type of is a tuple, and if I just take it off like comma, let's see what it does. You see, it's class int. It's not tuple anymore because number one is int type. It's showing the int, so it has to be at the end comma, like to recognize by the Python interpreter that it is tuple, like and if you want to create the multiple items, this is how you can create with the multiple items with the tuple. There's the name of the tuples, like the student result details, and I put the name of the students and the subject math. Got the marks 80, geography got the 90, and the science 95. Total marks got 265, like So I just want to printing that the tuple details, like this is the tuples multiple items. So you can see if I run this, there you see that is showing the student result details and all the items inside the tuple, like and how you can access, they said like you can access by the index number. So I put the zero index, like zero index is Hassan, the name of the person. And if I want the item access by the index number, you can search it, like let's see if I do, you see the item access by the index number is Hassan. And if I, let's say if I put the index number 1, it will show the math and the math, you see. And let's say if there is I'm going to put more than what's supposed to be, like let's say how many tuples here, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 there. Let's say if I put the 10, it will give you the error message, like index out of order, tuple index out of range, like so it will give you the error message, like so it has to be like you have to make sure that so you put the right index number, like like when you create the tuples, you can find out like how many tuples, how many index from 0 to what length, like another thing is very important, like you see, like I created the tuples, like you can assign those what it says in tuple is unpacking, like you can assign those items. So here is an example, like I created here, and that is you see the name, student name, that will be Hassan. Subject math, that's math marks got 80, like so I put the names, like assigning the different names and equal to student result details, the tuples. That tuple has been assigned with those name, like so there's a how many items, 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 7 8 9. So there is a 9 names, 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 7 8 9. So you see, and I'm printing those now. And if I want to print out specific items, like let's say if I put the student name, copy this, and then let's copy this, and if I run this, you can see these are the other top one, the first one, the item accessed by the index number, the Hassan. Student subject result is the name, you see, got the student name, got the Hassan, got total marks, excuse me, 265. So you can access by with any of the assigning names, like unpacking, like this is how we can get each details, like one by one, like or you can put each of the any of the names, like in here, it will show in here, like if you want to know specific items, like you want to specific things, like or you can just call that the tuples, like it will give you whole details, like what's exactly inside the tuple, like and what is it, like yeah, this is very important, like you cannot assign new things, like once it has been created, like you cannot assign new things. That means what I'm saying, like let's say index number is Hassan, but if you want to put zeroth index in the English, you can't do this, like it will give you the error message, like you see. Tuple object does not support item assignment, so you cannot assign anything new, so you cannot add, you cannot remove, this is tuples, like At the last video we covered tuples, and in this video we'll cover the sets. Sets are very powerful structures, it store the data unsorted way. I mean, there will be no sort. We have seen the list, you can sort either ascending or descending, but in the set you can't do it, in the set, item can be available only one, no duplicate items available, I mean, you cannot put the two apples in a one set. It has to be only one, and sets are very powerful compared to list and tuple, so is a very advantage, and it has a very powerful set operator like unions, difference, and intersection, we'll do the examples in a code, so you can see what is union, what is difference, and intersection. It is a very very easy to compare items within the set, I mean, if there is a big large set, you can compare the items within the set, it's a very powerful. So now how to create the set, this is how you can create the set. Name of the variables equal to set for the empty, and then this is a very tricky part, if you create the set like this, my set equal to set and curly brace, this will be created as a dictionary. There will be no set, but the empty set, it has to be the first bracket, like this curly brace. But if you use the curly brace, will be the second, it will be dictionary consider, Python interpreter will say is a dictionary. But if you put the items inside it, it will be a set, so this is a very tricky part. Make sure you remember this. And how to search items, this is how items, name of the items, is it in my set, items in my set, it will be true or false, and the search feature, I said earlier, very fast. It is the advantage of our list and tuple, and how to add the items in a set, built-in function my set dot add. This is the name of the set, I put the variable name and name of the items, this is the built-in function. And if you want to remove anything, it is two functions. One is a discard, and if you use the discard method, discard functions, then if the item is there inside the set, it will delete it, but if there's no items inside that set, it won't give you any error message. But if you use the remove functions, and if the item is not available inside the set, it will give you the error message, so just keep in mind this, and set does not maintain order, so it is not sortable, I said earlier, it will be unordered, if you run the program, you'll see the item is in one order. If you run the second time, so you'll see the items are in different order, so, and you can add or remove the items as well, Now, how to update set, what I mean, you can add two sets together, or the list or tuples, you can put together and it will update and create a new set, and the new set, but make sure you never use the string, because if you use the string, it will consider each letter as a sequence, so we'll show you an example in a code, how to do it, how to update the set, and this is a very powerful operator, very operations, inside it has set, so let's say I've created two sets, first set and second set. And how to do union, what is the union? So this is the method, first set dot union, second set, the first set, and this is the symbol in a code we'll use, first set and straight line, the second set, and this will create one new set with both items for everything together, with a new set, and intersection, how to do intersection, this operator, first set and the second set, and this will get a new set with only items which are available in both set. Let's say Apple has available in the first set, and Apple has available in the second set, and these items will capture, and create a new set. And the difference is, when you use the difference in this operator, this will create a new set that are not available in both set. Let's say the Apple is available only one set, it's not available in the other set, then these items will capture and look at the new set, so we'll show you examples in the code, how what is exactly it is, so I hope you guys enjoy, please do subscribe my channels and let me know if I am going anything wrong, it will encourage me to get more content, so first thing, how to create the set, empty set. This is, you can
make anything, like, I just write it on my sets, like, and this is will create like an empty set. And if you want to see the type, what type is it, just write type in front of the variable my set, and you can see if you run the program, it will show you the class is set. Now, next thing, how to create set with items, like, these are the very important point in here, like, so if you create like this, like, my set and a curly brace, it will consider as in dictionary. It won't be set, like, let's say if I run this, like, and if you put like a my set with the curly brace, the different items, like, then it will be considered as in set, like, so I'll just run the program, and you can see the first item, it is a dictionary. What type is it? This is a dictionary, and the second one is showing the set, like, because items in there, like, so it's in set now. And what's items within my set? These are the items in my set, like, so just to keep in mind this, like, is very important, like, in case you're thinking what is it, like, why is showing dictionary. Next thing we'll do, finding the length of the set is very simple, like, just write the length functions, length keyword in front of the variable, the my sets, like, and it will show you the your size of the set, like, which will show you the 3, because 1 2 3, there is only 3 numbers. And if you put another one more number, let's say 6, then it will show the 4, and the last time I said, like, on my previous video, the set will not allow duplicate items, like, let's say I've created 2 sets here. One is like my fruit set, like apple, orange, and apple, and 2 apples in there, just to show you an example. If I print, like, this my fruit set, like, it will show you only the apple and orange, but it will discard, like, apple, because it will take only one. As you can see, apple and orange. It won't show you, like, the everything, because it's not duplicate allowed, like, so what you can do next, how to convert convert list to set, like, let's say I have a list created, like, my food list. We know how to create the list, like, so with the brackets, we call third bracket, like, first bracket is this one is the first bracket, we call this one first bracket, this is second bracket, this one is second bracket, and the one sure, that is the third bracket. So anyway, probably you could say a different thing, like, I'm not sure, like, what in your country it says, like, so this is my list, like, everything inside my list I created. So I converted this list to the sets. So first I'll check, like, what's in my list. This is in my list, like, apple, orange, cherry, watermelon, apple, and orange, like 2 times apple and orange. So if I want to convert to this list to set, like, converting, I can see, like, just my fruit list to set. Just put the name of the variable, like, and then set keyword in front of it within this variable, like, from the, sorry, this is the list, so I'm putting the set keyword in front of and within bracket, like, that's variable, and this will convert to the set, like, and I'm storing all the results, like, in that variable. So I'm printing out on here, like, my fruit list to set. So if I print this, like, you can see it was apple 2 times and orange 2 times, but now it's only one time, apple, orange, cherry, and melon. So this you see, that's very important, like, so you can easily convert list to set, like, now what we can do next, you see, like, we said, like, you cannot keep the items in order, like, so that's why, because of that, like, you cannot access by the index number, like, I just created once, and if I try to access, like, the 0th index, like, let's say my 0th index is my fruit list to set, this variable, which is in apple, like, at the moment 0 is in apple. But if I run this, like, it will show the error message, set object is not susceptible, but it says like indexable, like the same thing, like so you cannot do this, like we cannot access by the index number. And the set does not support the sorted either, but in another way, like if you want to sorted the items, like set items, like so this change to set to the list. Last time we showed like list to set, so you can change from the set to list, or you can the built-in function like sorted. So here is an example, like I can see if I run this testing set to sort. So if I put a built-in function sorted functions and put this variable inside this sort, like because it was a set, like this one. So I created this set, like from list to set, like so as you can see the set items are these are. So I want to sort it, like so if I run this, you can see it's sorted like by alphabetical order: apple, cherry, orange, watermelon. So A, B, C, D, E, all the way to W, like so you can do this way, like the built-in function sorted functions. And what else? Adding items in the sort, like how to add items, very simple, like just built-in functions, like name of this the variable, like name of the set, like and then add. So I want to plum, I want to add, like so update it by set now. So if I run the program, is you can see apple, orange, and plum now on my fruit list, with my fruit set, like because it, I created the first my fruit set in here, my fruit set, apple, orange, and apple. But as you can know, the apple will be discarded because set is not allow duplicate, like so here I added a plum, like so. And if you want to delete, like or remove or discard any item from the set, like you can use the built-in function this either discard or remove, like so if you use a discard, like apple, it will delete, like so if I run this so you see updated sets now, which I added, like here, this one added one, and deleted, like orange and plum. Apple has been deleted, so there's only orange and plum left, like but if you run the discard method and even the items are not inside the set, still it will not show any error message, like let's say I want to this one, see the watermelon is not in my set, like but I wanted to discard the watermelon, but it will not show any error message, like if you run this program, you see there's no error message. But if you use the remove functions, like then it will show the error message, like if I run this, like let's say remove functions and watermelon, because there's no watermelon, it will show the error message, like you can see watermelon is key, or there's no watermelon, like this line 67, line number 67. So make sure, like if you which function you want to use, like but if I use this one, I know the plums are available in my set, like so if I want to remove the plum, so run this message program, you see plum has been deleted, only orange left. Updated sets now, my fruit set only, I deleted like a plum. Now right, just going to uncomment this until one. How to update the sets, like remember last time we were talking, like if you can add two sets together, like so I created two sets here, and as you can see, programming language Python, Java, C++, and the rate of the language I just funny way, like Python 5 stars and Java 4 stars and C++ 3 star. So if you want to put two set together, update it, like so programming language dot update that set I want to update, like so if I run this, like after update the sets, and everything will be in this set, like adding together. So as you can see, as you know, the sets are won't keep the order, like so you see it's showing, like 5 star, 4 star, Python, C++, Java, and 3 stars, like but remember I said, like last video, like you cannot use the string message to update, like let's say this one here. Let's say you want a programming language in on that side, like you want to update something, a spider, like the string message, like what will happen, like if I run this, and you can see, like that it's gonna put every single array as a sequence, like as you can see here. This is spider S with the S here, S P Y, the year. So make sure, like it will be separated, like every single letter will be in the sequence, like so I mean, it's not nice to do a nice way to do that. This is a very important part, like that set the operations, like this is very powerful. Now what I'm just going to close and comment this one. Now let's see the how to use the set operator, like so I created two sets here. One is the fruit set, like apple, orange, watermelon, plums, and banana. And favorite fruits, what I like watermelon. Could be you could be different person, like you love maybe different fruits, like this is what I love, like watermelons, mango, grapes, dates, and banana. So how you can see the union example, like so while I said unions will put two sets together and create new sets, like so my fruit set here, the first set, and this is the symbol, like you have to use for to create the union and favorite fruits. And if I run this, like you will see it has been created new sets with both sets together, like but it own print 2 times banana and 2 times the watermelon, only 1 times, like so you see there's watermelons 1 times and the banana 1 times. So it only apply the duplicate, like and what's next? So you can do intersections, like so how can I do intersections? So intersection is this sign, and sign, like and person sign, like so in intersection, what is intersections? It will create a new set items that are both in the set, like so we can see the watermelons in this set available, watermelon in that set, banana and banana both is available. So this is only these 2 items will capture, like you see intersection examples, banana and watermelon. And what is the last one? The difference, like in the difference is this symbol, like exponent, like we call, like in maths, like so you can use that symbol, like to create the difference, like what's the difference? It will make it a new set containing the items that are not in both sets, like so it will get rid of this watermelons and banana because these are available, but these items are not available in both sets. Like apple is available here but it's not in here, orange here, not in here. So it will take all the items except like watermelons and banana. Now let's see you see there's no watermelons and banana difference. So far we have covered data structures like list and tuple and sets. Now the last one we'll cover the dictionary. It stores the data, like the key pairs value, and inside the dictionary, like value is mutable but key is not mutable, like and if you want to find out the key, like it's very fast compared to any other data structures, like the list or sets or anything, like and how you can create the dictionary, like there is a way you can create, like empty one, and this is 2 way you can create all items within the dictionary, like this is how the key and this is the value. So the key is 1, 2, 3 and the value is apple, orange and banana. This is how you can create, like and if you want to see your keys exist or not, like you can use this key 1 in my dictionary, that will show true, like if there's let's say the 4, there's no 4 in the key, like so we can, if I do the 4 in my dicts, it will throw the false, like does not exist, like and if you want to find out, like all the keys and value, like inside the dictionary, you can use the built-in function mydix
dot items, and that will give you all the keys and values, like, and just the keys only. Use this built-in functions mydix dot keys. These mydix is like the name of the dictionary, like, you can keep anything, like, and if you want to find out, like, only values, like, let's say only apple, orange and banana, then you use this mydix dot values, like, that will give you only values, like, and another thing, like, then you cannot access by the index number the way we did, like, list, like, to the index number we can access, like, but here we cannot access to the index number, but we can access by the key. But if the key is not exist, like, it will throw the error message. But if you use the let's say my name of the dictionary mydix dot get built-in functions, and if you put the number, the key number, like, it will, if it's not available, it will throw the none, like, and if you want to find the length of the key dictionary, like, which is the length functions, like built-in function length, and the name of the dictionary, it will give the how large it is, like, and here is I highlight, like, we can use the key as an int, strings or tuple, but not as a set or list or dictionary. And if you want to access any specific items, like, name of the dictionary and the square bracket 1, that will give you the what's inside the key number 1, like, it will show in the screen, like, and as I said, like, earlier, like, we'll throw error message, like, but if you use this, like, get dot key, like, not for error message. So let's jump to the coding, like, so here is, like, we came to the ID, like, spider ID. This is how we can create, like, dictionary, empty dictionary, and it's another way dictionary. So if I run, like, there's a type, like, let's say if I just take off this comma, like, it will give you the error message, like, so invalid syntax, like, so you make sure you put the comma, like, if you, but normally I putting the print command, like, to give you the kind of what's exactly happening here, like, so if I run this, like, and you can see this is the dict type, like, dictionary types, like, so this is how you can find out, like, what type it is, like, and how to create, like, a dictionary with items, like, this is how you can create, like, just name of the dictionary, my dictionary with items, like, and here is the key value, and if I run this, like, and well, I'm printing out, where is it exactly, somewhere I'm printing out, like, so I'll go through here. So here is, you can get the length of the dictionary, just length functions, and name of the dictionary, like, this one, and here's I'm putting the / with n to give you the space in here, you see, to get the space in here. So if I run this, like, you can see the length of the dictionary is 3. I get the spelling mistake in here, here. No. So what next here, to find out the key exists or not, remember on the previous slide, like, we did, like, let's say if the as you can see, I just put the 1 as 1 is exist here, like, it will show me that what's in there is true. 1 is true, but 5, there's no key 5, so 5 in my dicts with items is false, showing the false, like, so you can easily find out, like, whether is it in it or not, like, so just going to uncomment this. What's next? How to find out the value by the key. Yeah, so here I'm just going to uncomment this, control 1. So if I put the number 2, which is in a banana, so it will give me the banana, it's in the, and that key, the value is a banana, that value, like, but 4, there's no items, no value in the 4, but it will throw the error message. But here, like, if you see, like, the same name of the dictionary, but if I use a get built-in functions, like, and put the 4, it will show me the none. So I'm just going to uncomment this for a while and then run the program, and you can see is key error, the 4 is not exist, like, but it's giving the first the 2 the key 2 is, which is banana, like which is available. So I'm just going to comment out this and uncomment this one, and if I run this, as you can see, is a banana is in the key 2, and if I use the get functions, you'll show the none, which is kind of more standard way, like there'll be no error message showing in your screen, like so I prefer to use this method, like so just going to uncomment this. How to get all the keys and values, like so if you want to find out what's exists in your inside your dictionary, so just run these and it will throw everything, like so what's inside my dictionary, like these are the items available. Key 1 apple, key 2 banana, key 3 orange, so, and if you want to find only keys, the keys only, so, and if you want to find all the values only, so this is how run these, and you can see these mydix.items will throw everything, keys and values, and if I get only keys, only 1 2 3, I'm just going to move small, as you can see. So here's you can see, like if I just built-in function, how you can use it, like so this is the name of the dictionary, and then if I put a dot, and it will give me all the available functions, like so if I want to get a get or the keys, like so it will, if I select this, so enter and another bracket for the print, and so this is how we can use the built-in functions, like so it will give you the, just put the dot mark and it will give you all the available built-in functions, like so you can use this, like and this is the value, so you can get the only values, like which is apple, banana, orange, like and what else we can do, yes, how to add or update, no, first one was how to add new items in the dictionary. Yeah, this is so this is how you can add, like if you want to add anything new inside the dictionary, but make sure the key has to be different, like so if the same key aren't gonna work, like so key 6 is not available here, so I put the key 6 and the watermelon. So if I update my I can say update my dictionary, all the items, built-in functions, so you can see the watermelon is 6 in here. And if you want to add or update the two dictionary together, like this is how we can do. I just create a new dictionary, another dictionary with the keys 7 and cucumber, and the keys 8 and the carrot, like and I'm just updating in here, as you can see. My dictionary items dot update, and which dictionary I put it inside, the new dictionary. So, and these new dictionary items will be added to this dictionary. So updated new dictionary now. So if I run these, and you can see everything together in here. Updated dictionary, so apple, banana, orange, watermelon, cucumbers, and this is how, like most common method we use, like how to get keys and values, and if the keys exist or not, like how to, there's some complex as well, like I'm not going to talk about in this video, like so when we go to advanced, like we'll talk about this. Today we will learn about the for loop, how to use for loop in Python, like so let's jump to the code. Like let's say I've created like a list, like so inside the list there's some items, like so we know how to use the operator, like so I'm checking, like is the apple is in my list, if it's available it will show true, like if it's false, if it's not available it will give the error, like so so here is an example, like how to use for loop. Now here I'm saying, like the for fruit, I put the any name, like you can put them here, like I have it's a variable, like from here it will store in here in my fruit list and print, like how to use the f formatting, how to use that, like so the fruit name is in that variable, I put it here, like so make sure, like the for loop is a condition there, like for fruit in my fruit list, and then semicolon, like you have to use like an indentation has to be in here, like and if I do this indentation in over here, it will show the error message, like
give you the error message, like, so it has to be indentation, like, so if I run these, like, it will give you the first two, and then the apple, orange, banana, watermelon, like, so this is how it's in there, like, so this is, you can use like for loop, very simple and straightforward compared to other programming language, like, and if you can use the range function if you want to print out like the numbers in any of the program, like, this is, you can use the range function. Here is I'm checking, like, from the for number in range 11. So here in Python, like, for when you use the range function, the range 0 is inclusive, I mean 0 will print, and 11 will be exclusive, so until 10 it will print out, like, so if I run this program, you can see printing, let me 0 to 10, like, so. And another way you can use the range functions here, like, I can specify, like, start from the 1 and end to the 9, because 10 is will be inclusive, like, exclusive, like, 10 all print out, like, so if I run these, you can see that it will print out from 1 to 9. Another thing you can use in the in range function, I can specify, like, the 3 start, end, and increment, like, how many times you want to increment, like, this thing. So if I run this program, let's say if I want to increment by 2, so here's starting, ending, and increment, like, start from the 2 and stop from 19, between 2 on print out, like, and by 2, like, so if I run these, you can see that's 2, 4, 6 all the way to 18, like, because increment by 2, like, and this is how you can use 3 times, like, 3 way you can use the range built-in function, like, and if you want to by the index number, you can use the enumerate function, like, built-in function, like, that will give you the index number, what index am I put, like, so here's for index, you can give any name, like, and of any of the names, like, the variable, like, enumerate, like, my foot list. I'm putting the it takes one argument, like, so I'm putting my list, like, so if I run this program, and you can see for apple is the index number 0. So this is how we can you can figure out, like, where exactly, like, which index number it belongs to, like, and another very important, like, very nice, how to use the for loop in dictionary, like, so I create the dictionary, how to create the dictionary, the key values, like, but if I run this program, you can see, like, for fruit in my dictionary, that will give you only keys, like, that will print out only keys. Like, if I run this program, you can see only keys will print out, like, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. But if you want to get the keys and values, like, you can do like this, just like this, like, for keys and comma values in my fruit this dot items, the built-in function items, that will give you the keys and values, like, the both will give you, like, so I'm just going to uncomment this one and run this. So this is pretty much, like, the for loop, like, I can use more complex, like, advanced we will go through, like, so you see for apple at index 1, orange, this is how you can use, like, in this video we will go through the while loop, like, how to do the while loop. So first I've created, like, a 2 variable, one the number which I assigned 0, and there is maximum number which I assigned 10, like, just for example. So I'm saying while that number is 0 is less than 10, max number is a 10, so I'm printing here, like, the number is, and then updating the number here, the number with 0 plus, which is another way I can write, like, the same thing, number equal to, and the number plus 1, like, either way you can write, like, the short form is like this. So if I don't update, like, number, the while loop will run forever, like, so it will never stop, like, so unless the condition is met, like, the while loop will continue to run. Once is met, like, condition, like, it will stop, like, so if I run this, as you can see, it will from 0 to all the way to 9, like, because is less than 10, so 9 is less than 10. So let's say if I just stop in here, I wouldn't update, like, so as you can see, it will run
continue like non-stop. So you have to stop it like either in here or Control C. So so it's very important like to update the condition, like if you don't update like conditions, it will run forever. So if you want to do less than equal to 10, then it will be a while number. Once the number is 10 equal to 10, will print out until 10, like from 0 to 10. So this is how we can run the while loop, like you can create a while loop in Python. So I just create the maximum number 5, so it will do until 5, 0 to 5. So I hope you guys understood like how to create the while loop, like so it's very important to like update the number like in here, otherwise it will run continue, like On the last video we have seen how to do the while loop, like in this video we will learn how to do break, like sometimes you want to get out of the loop, like for some reason, like if the condition is met, like and you don't want to continue the loop, like so how you can do it, like as an example, like I did with the for loop and a while loop as well. So first we will go to the for loop, like how to do in the break, like so I create the list, how to do list, like so I put the 4 fruits name inside the list, like so I'm saying like for fruit in my fruit list, like we'll print out all the fruit, like the moment if the fruit equal to orange, like if it's found in orange, it will break. It won't print out like a watermelon, like so if I run this, as you can see, it's running apple, banana, orange. The moment it's found the orange is breaking out, like it's not going in there, like so this is how you can use the break statement, like in the for loop. So next thing what we'll do the while loop, like we can see how to use a break in a while loop. So I get the variable fruit equal to orange. I assign the orange name is in fruit, like I'm saying the while is true, like if fruit in fruit list, that fruit, like orange in the fruit list, I'm just printing like the fruit is found, like that fruit, like orange, and it will break, like the moment it will found, like that name, it will break. You don't do anything else, like so if you run this, you can see the fruit is found orange. So this is how you can I'm saying while it's true, like it's continue running, like first is checking the apple, second is banana. The moment it's found the orange, it's breaking out of the loop, like so this is how we can use the on a while loop. And another way we can just to give an example, like how to use the while loop. So another I just studied, like another variable counter. While it's true, I'm just updating, like a counter. We have seen in the while loop, like how to do it, like updating, like counter plus 1. So if counter equal to 10, and it will break out, like see the count has been done to the counter 10, like so it will break out, like if you run this, you can see count has been done to 10. So it's coming from the 0 and then it's continue to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The moment is found is like counter is a 10, it will break out, like if you can see, if I do, let's say, and if you want to print, like just try, like different numbers, 20, then it's been down to 20, like at the moment it's found 20, it will break out, like but so this is how we can use, like the break statement, like so the moment its condition is met, its condition is true, it will get out of the loop, like it will break the loop. So the next video we'll do the how to do the continue, like and the last video we have seen how to do the break statement,
how to use in breaks in Python, like so in this video we will see how to do continue, like some reason, like you want to continue run your loop, like and if you want put a specific condition, like okay, if you find this, like but still continue run the loop, like some circumstances you need to use like continue statement, like so in this case, like we'll go through a couple of example, like so the same fruit list, like I've created, like here the list, number of items inside the list. So in here, like I'm running the for loop, like for fruit in my fruit list. If fruit equal to orange, saying even if you find the orange but still continue, like and I'm printing in here, like so if I run this, you will see, like it's printing apple, banana and watermelon, but it's keeping like orange, like so I'm saying, like, if the condition is there but still you run, you continue, like the loop, like this is how you can use continue statement, like it's very useful, like to run, like if you want to skip something, like if the condition is met, like but still you run your loop, like and how to do, like on the both of them, like the last video we have seen, like the break. So in this video we'll do like continue both of them, like how to do continue and break, like let's say and the same, and the inside the for loop for fruit in fruit list, I'm saying, like if the length of the fruit name, those from the fruit list, like it will store in all the variable in here the fruit. So I'm saying the length of the fruit is not equal to 6, like it's continue, like and then printing the fruit name here. So it will skip, like the apples and watermelon, because they are not condition is matching, like so if I, and then if the fruit equal to orange, like it will break, like there. So if I run these, the both of them, like a 6 character, like 3 3 6. So it's first condition, and the second condition is the orange one. The one is found is break, like so it's breaking. Let's see another thing. You can see how to use the return statement inside the loop, like sometimes, like you are the big loop, like and your return is a one way you kill the for loop, like you stop once the condition is met, you are stopping straight away, like so this is how you can use return statement. Another nice way to stop the for loop, like like the same, like a break, like so I'm saying, like just create the functions, like the find fruit, like and I'm passing the fruit name. When I call the functions, I have to pass the name of the fruit, like the fruit names. So for fruit in fruit list, like same for loop, like I'm using if that fruit equal to apple, then I'm returning, like we found out the fruit, so I'm printing the fruit, like the moment it's finding the apple, it's gonna stop the for, it's gonna stop, like it's not gonna so if I run these, and you can see I'm just going to, we found out the fruit apple, like so this is how you can use the return statement. Here's the for loop, and then if conditions and returning, like so if I, let's say if I put the orange, so okay, you find out the fruit orange, like so it's going through, even you can print in here, you're going through the inside the for loop, and it's printing, like if I put a print statement here, you're going to print all the fruits, and when the moment is found in the orange, it will stop, like orange here, stop. Let's say if I put the banana, so I hope we'll see you next video, like you can play yourself, like before we have covered basic stuffs, like from all the way from numbering to data types and strings and loops, while loops and for loops and all this stuff, like now in this video we will learn about the files readings and writing, like I'm not going to go into details, like what is file and all this stuff, like you can find plenty of details, like online, like if you search Google what is file and stuff, like I'm just going to do a couple of examples, like how can you read the files, like I mean there's different types of file, like so I mean if you in this lesson we will just going through example like a text file, like but like in the real experience, like you go to the CSV files and zip file, mp3 files, and there's a lot of different types of file, like but like majority are like pretty much same, like how to read and write, like but some are the more complex, like these are the more advanced level, like but like here is the sort of like the character, like what does it mean, like so by default is reading, like even if you put this R, if you don't put, like is by default is reading, like so his here is like open for reading for the file, like and if you put the W, like which is mean writing, but if the file is exist, like it will delete, like the previous contents, like whatever was written in the file, like and if you put the X, like it will create the new ones, and if there's already the file that exists, like though the same name, it will be it will fail to create like a new one. And if you put the A character, like which will be either you want to append, like which you can writings, or you can adding more contents on it, like and if you want to open the binary mode, like which is the B characters, and if you want to open a text mode, like is a T, like and there's a plus sign as well, like which you can updating either reading or writing, like but the very important, like the whenever you open a file, make sure you close the file, like otherwise you'll be hanging on the buffer zone, like so in the memory. There's a couple of examples, like I've created, like so that you can follow in your real life scenario, and basically all the examples are the files are in the current directory, current working directory. I mean, like the same file, like that the Python file in the same directory, whereas my the reading my file, the txt, and this sample one.json file is the same directory, like so as you can see here, example 1, where I just going to open a JSON file of the read mode, like so this open method, like open within the open method, like it takes arguments, which first argument is the name of the files and what mode you want to open. Is it writing mode or open mode or read mode, like so open the read mode, like and so I'm just going to create another variable, which is just put the fruits, like my file dot read, and it's printing, like all the contents whatever in the files, like and I'm closing the file. So if I run this, like you can see it will split out all the file contents, like so if you look at the real file, like it's in here. So these are the all contents, it's printing in here, like so pretty much this way you can open a file for read mode, like and the second example, which is in here, I'm going to open a text file, like it was a JSON file, or is it text? Now it's going to the text file. It's the same, like I'm just opening on the read mode, and I'm printing this variable my file but read mode, like and then I'm closing again. So if I run this, and you can see I'm just put some text, like we are learning Python basic. Like, if you look at this, this is the actual file, like so it's just going to the read mode, like in here, but I always close the file, like but another one, which is like if you open a file with a context with the open, like in that scenario, like if anything happens, like it will close automatically the file, like even if you don't put the file in the close method, like it will close automatically. So here it's work like the same, like try catch, and finally the way we put like a try catch, and finally I haven't I didn't create any video yet, like but we'll go through, like how to do the try catch, all this stuff, like so in this example you can see I'm just opening my same text file with the read mode as my file name. Just I put the as my file name like opening, and then it's either way. You can do the one line like a print my file.read, or you can create another variables and printing that variable float in here, like other way I will do, like so if I do this, like you can see it will print out all this stuff, like in here. And I didn't put the my file.close, like it will close automatically, like so there's another example you can follow. You can open the file like this. And there's a couple of more method, like you can use, like which is let's see, I'm going through one by one. There I'm going to open, by default, as I said, like by read mode, like see, even if I don't put like R, it by default is a read mode, like so yeah, I'm opening the file, like and here I'm just to read line. So if I do this, you can see that it will read only one line, so if I do like around the, you can see just only one line with this method, read line. But if I put like the read line 2, which will read only 2 character, like so if I run this, then you can see only we, like so it depends on whatever the number of arguments you'll pass, you'll read that many characters, like so. And if I run this file.read lines, so that will put everything out, but as in the list, like it will return as a list, like so if I'm just going to each an example, like so here's the list here all the way here, and so it's going to be each line as in list, like it will return. So it depends on, like in what scenario you are facing, and you can either use a read line, or if you pass the read line, the number of arguments, like how many characters you want to read, or you want to return as a list, like all the file contents, like this is how you can create, like so next one is with a while loop, like which is, I like it, like so it will go through, like from beginning to all the way end, like so what I'm saying here, that I'm going through with opening the file, the read mode as my file, and I'm creating another variable line equal to my file.read line. I'm reading each line, like and what I'm saying, while line not equal to empty string, that's single code is means like empty string. If you don't, unless you find the empty string, you keep printing like a line, and the read line. So this is a way, like you can read from beginning all the way end, like and the special character is, like the empty string. The moment it will find the empty string, it will stop, like so in this way, like if I run this, you can see that it will go from beginning all the way end, like and the moment you will find no more string here, like an empty string, it will stop reading, like it will stop the while loop, will stop, like so this is another way you can use the while loop, like reading the file. And the most recommended one is, like using the for loop, like with this more simplified, you're opening the file, the same file, reading my file.txt read mode as my file, and for line in my file, this file in my file, read lines, and printing, like print this line, and finding the end of the, if you find the empty string, you end, like so if I run this, it's the same, like the same like work a while loop, but this is a more kind of efficient and more memory efficient, like but the more simplified way, like you can with the for loop, with the one line, opening the file as in read mode, and for line in my file, this for line in my file, print line, and once you find the end of the string, you finish, like, so these are kind of reading, like, file, like, you can follow one of the example, any of the example, but most recommended one, whether this one or that one, like, so I hope you will find helpful, like, in your real life. And please do subscribe my channels, and hope to see you next video for writing, how to write files. The last video we have seen how to read a file from the disk, like, there's a different example, so we went through, like, in this video you will see how to write to the files, like, so as we talked about the last video, like, if you put the W character, like, which will delete the whatever previously was inside the file, like, and write new things, like, so first thing, you need to open the file, like, so I'm opening the file. This is my file name, and this is the write mode, like, and as in my writing file, I just create the variable, and in this variable, like, I'm writing write lines, like, this is the method, the write lines, like, so I'm writing we are learning Python basic, like, in this file. Here, as you can see, the files are empty, like, so and then later on I'm closing the files, like, so if I run this, as you can see, its execution is finished. So as the file has contents is written here, like, we are learning Python basic. So and there's another method, like a write method, like, which does the same thing, like, so if I run this, so here's my my writing files dot write, like, here in this line I just wrote we are learning Python basic and how to writing to a file, like, as you can see, first when I executed first time, it's written in there, like, but if I run this time, like, it will delete the previous one and write the new, so, and this is how you can write to the files, like, and the closing the file. And if you want to append something, like, let's say you have already something written on your file and you want to add something new, or you want to edit something, like, this is how you can do it, like, with the a character appending something, like, so the same file, like, I'm just going to append something, like, and let's say I'm going to write the same thing again to the file, like, so if I run this, you can see it will be written on the side, like, this is how this has been written. You see, it's written in here again, we are learning Python basic in here. But if I just put the /n, it will be written on the next line, here. So this is how you can write to the existing file, like, appending something, like, new. The same with the write lines method and the write method as well, like, you can do either way, like, so this is the same method, like, the first we did on the write lines and the second on the write method, like, as you can see, you're learning. So this is how you can write to the files, like, and this is very straightforward, like, so I hope it will help in your real life. And if you have any question, please do let me know on your comment. Today we will learn in this video how to take a user input. A lot of scenario, like, you want to take a user input from the keyboard, like, I mean, this is how we can do, like, let's say this is the input function, like, so if you want to take anything from the user, like, let's say I create the variable fruit, like, and I was asking, like, an input, what fruit do you like, like, and I'm printing, like, I like. So if I run this, like, and see, like, it's asking me, like, to put the
input, like from keyboard, what food do you like? So it's like a mango, and if I put the enter, and I like mango, like showing. So this is how you can take the user input and you can save it in this variables, and if you want to print out in here, so this is how you can take the user input. When you take the user input, it always take it will take always as a string, so in a lot of case, you want to take a number, so in that case, you have to convert it from the string to the integer format, so this is how you can put the int in front of input, and it will convert it from the string to the integer format, so if I run this, and asking me the first number, let's say I put the 12 first number and the second number 25, and I'm going adding to tell both first number and second number, and actually give you the 37, it's very straightforward, adding. So suppose you didn't put the int, what will happen? You see, I'm just putting again the same program, and I didn't put the int in front of input, I'm not converting, so if I put the again 12 and the second number 25, you see is a 12 25 is concatenating both number, it's not adding, so 12 and 25 is putting together, so it'll be in the string, so make sure you always put the int in front of the input, the input, if you want to put the numerical value, so you have to convert it either int or float, and other the reverse as well, if you want to convert integer to string, so you put the string in front of here, and it will convert it from the integer to string, so this is how you can take the user input, and the vice versa, either string to integer, integer to string, and float, this is how you can do it, so I hope you understood, so if you have anything to know more, just give me a buzz, on a comment, and I'll come back to you. Friends, how are you? Hope all are well wherever you are. Welcome back to my channel. So far we have covered quite a lot of stuff in Python, basic stuff. You notice, when anything gets wrong, you get Python programs stop straight away, and give you some message, on the screen, on here. So to get a nice message, sometimes you get a lot of message, it's hard to graphs, what's exactly in there, to log message, so how to overcome this, you can, we'll go through, how to overcome this problem, so let's say, we are going to open a file, and this is my reading my file here. This is a text file, so I'm just going to open and just read, I'm just going to see, this is what's in my file. So if I say, I change my file name, let's do the y in there, and you see, it will give you the message, that's from here, it's sort of message, it's saying, that this is the class, and it's giving the message no such file or directory, there's no such file name, in this directory, saying, so to overcome this, to get a nice message, so we just going to use a try and accept, that's within the try block. We'll open the file, and if there's any issues in there, it will try to catch in here, accept, so I'm just going to open as it is, because my file proper name, whatever the file name, it will read. Let's say if I change my file name, it will catch in here, and it will give you the nice proper message, that file not found, error happened, instead of you see the earlier, was giving the kind of long message, what's going on, but it's giving you a proper message, there's something wrong, have a look at it,
So this is how you can catch, like, you can use as many as except block, like, we'll see, like, in later example. So this is how you can use the try and except block, like, for if you want to, if you think, like, there will be something wrong and my program will crash, like, but I want to catch, like, what's happening, like, this is how we can use except block. There's on the first example, we noticed that, like, it give you the class, which class, like, it belongs to, like, that class is a file not found error, like, so if I just show you, like, say if I write except, like, and then if I write file, and you see there's some sort of different class, like, file exist error, file not found error class, like, so when I use these, and then we'll write as file error, and we're going to print that file error, like, whatever the message will give, like, so if I run this, like, then you will see, like, it will give you the message in here that the no such file or directory reading that file name, like, which I put purposely wrong file name. So it will handle nicely, like, it will give you sort of proper message when you do like, when you take the user input, like, and you want to print something nicely, like, on your screen. This is how you can do it, like, there's some error exception, like, you can print out nicely on a screen, like, so there's just so many the class name, like, in the Python documentations. You can find out, like, more on it, like, I'll put the link on my details, like, so you can go through, like, and you can find plenty of class name, like, and it depends on, like, what error you want to catch, like, and you'll find plenty of class on that, like, and another thing you can do, like, there's you can use finally, like, let's say you went to try except, like, and is going from all the from top to bottom, like, no matter what, like, the finally block will print, like, it will print out, like, so let's say I put the purpose in my file name is a wrong file name. It will catch these, and also it will print out this as well, like, you see it's catching that no such file directory, and this part will run no matter what happened up, like, so finally block will run definitely will run, like, no matter what's happening here, like, so you want to get a finally, you want to print out something, like, you can put it in here like a final block. And there's a finally I want to add in here that we can use, like, the else as well, like within the else, like, you can put the try except again another block, like, so there could be some scenario, like, you want to run first some sort of code, like, and if it doesn't go through, like, properly, then you can want to else, like, else this part of code, like run this part of code, like, and you can catch in here, and then finally you want to catch something, like, and you can use as many as except, like, as I said, like, you can catch multiple errors, like, if you think that sort of scenario will arise, like, I want to catch, like, so you can use that sort of block, like, so I hope it will help you, like, in your real life, and you can follow, like, this is how you can use, like, try except block, like, and finally, like, and so from the next video I'm going to put, like, whatever you have learned, like, from the basic series, we'll create a project, like, small project, like, and we'll implement sort of, like, all the for loops and things, like, list and stuff, like, and we'll combine together and put one project, like, and after that, like, we'll start, like, advanced series, like, so I hope you will join with me, and please do subscribe my channels, and that will encourage me to create more content. And please do let me know if I'm going anything wrong, like, which will encourage me to correct myself. And see you next video. Thanks. Bye bye.